All right, what is up? We are live. A wild one there. Already got the poll question up because I pretty much know what probably the main topic is going to be. Did you want a third overtime? Yes. NASCAR ending it was fine. Don't spoil it. I haven't seen it. There was a race today. So those are the four options. So far, three votes are in, and all of them are yes. And we will get to that in just a minute or whatever you guys want to talk about. But imagine that's probably going to be it. But let's run through the race finish order here, where Kyle Larson is your winner at the Indy Brickyard, wins with the McLaren paint scheme that he was going to run when he was trying to do the double, of course. And McLaren winning in F1 today, does this count as a F1 or does this count as a sweep for McLaren, since this is technically a McLaren paint scheme? So that is interesting. But Kyle Larson gets the win. A lot of people are not happy with the way NASCAR called the race at the end. We're going to talk about that. Tyler Reddick finishing in second place here brings home the 45 car in second place. Ryan Blaney looked like he sort of I don't know if he had to switch to the reserve tank there at the end, but it looked like he bobbled a little bit there on that last restart as well. Christopher Bell finishes in fourth place. Bubba Wallace, good points day for him. Needed this run. Fifth place for Bubba Wallace. Pickle Todd finishing in sixth place. Ever since running the pickle car, Pickle Todd has been on fire here with his finishes. Austin Cindric with a nice seventh place finish here. Good run for him. Some more positive momentum after getting the win earlier in the season. Daniel Suarez in eighth. Also a good run for him. He needed some positive momentum too, as well, after getting his first win earlier in the season. Noah Gragson, another top 10 for the SHR for Dark Horse Mustang driver. Chase Elliott finishing in 10th place. Looked like he had a really good car today. Had the controversial issue where he came, NASCAR deemed him to go onto the racing surface on his pit exit lap or whatever like that. So we'll possibly talk about that as well. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. finishing in 11th place. Good run. Carson Hocevar 12th, 13th for Austin Dillon. Good run for all those guys, and all those guys needed them. Corey LaJoy in 14th there. Ross Chastain 15th. Michael McDowell 16th. Zane Smith 17th. Good run for him. Zane Smith getting some good finishes here in the second half of the season so far. Cody Ware, 18th. Good run for Ty Dillon. Ty Dillon finished 19th. That's nothing to sneeze at. He hadn't been in the Cup Series in quite some time. So coming here in a fill-in role and getting a 19th place finish, that's not terrible for him at all. Justin Haley, 20th. Another good run for the Rick Ware racing car. I feel like anytime you finish in the top 20 in sort of the lower equipment here, that's a good run. And then an interesting one, Brad Keselowski. Did he have a good race? Did he have a bad race? He sort of started the big controversy here at the end, but you can actually trace it all the way back to Martin Truex Jr. When this race got flipped on its head, to be totally honest. But Brad Keselowski staying out there trying to make it 4,000 laps on fuel sets up this crazy finish here that we ended up having. Chris Buescher, 22nd. Bad day for him points wise, because he needed a better points finish than that. Same thing for Ty Gibbs. Bad finish for him points wise in the 23rd position. He had another engine issue. That's very interesting. That's 2 weekends in a row that the number 54 for Ty Gibbs has had engine issues, and that is not a good sign as we get closer to the playoffs. Chase Briscoe, if he even makes the playoffs at this point, Chase Briscoe 24th. Kyle Busch 25th after I don't know exactly what happened between him and Denny Hamlin, but another snake bit. Just a terrible luck season for Kyle Busch. Had probably a sixth or seventh place finish lined up, and then him and Denny Hamlin were racing each other and ends up wrecking in that particular exchange. Ryan Preece, who brought out the final caution, ending the race, finishes in 26th. Martin Truex Jr. 27th. Eric Jones 28th. His teammate John Hunter Nemechek 29th. Daniel Hemrick 30th. He had a good run going too, and then the pit stop madness got him, and he got caught up in that last one of those later wrecks, one of the last few wrecks, I should say. Along with Alex Bowman. Alex Bowman hits him on the passenger side door. Pretty solid lick there. Hope everybody's okay in that one. Denny Hamlin, 32nd. Jimmy Johnson, the other legacy teammates, 33rd. And Jimmy Johnson, according to the discussion we had in Discord, four out of the five races, Jimmy Johnson has DNF'd so far this season. Joey Logano, 34th. Josh Berry, 35th. Harrison Burton, 36th. AJ Allmendinger, 37th. William Byron, 38th. And engine problems for BJ McLeod, who wins the race on Earth 2 after only 15 laps. He retires, finishing 39th. All right. And we do have the points, so we can actually talk about the points. Kyle Larson, your regular season points leader. He has the lead over Chase Elliott by 10 points here. Chase Elliott in second place, Tyler Reddick, Denny Hamlin, Ryan Blaney, William Byron, uh, Martin Truex Jr., Christopher Bell, Brad Keselowski, Alex Bowman are your top 10. Ty Gibbs, Chris Buescher, Ross Chastain, Bubba Wallace, Joey Logano, Chase Briscoe, your top 16 in owners points. However, Chase Briscoe would be bumped and Bubba Wallace would be bumped because Daniel Suarez and Austin Cindric are below them in points and would bump out the next two. Joey Logano with a win would still be in. So it looks like Bubba Wallace and Chase Briscoe are your first two on the outside looking in. And Joey Logano, Bubba Wallace is only, he's less than, let's see, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7. He's 7 points, it looks like, according to this, the one I'm looking at. He is 7 points behind Ross Chastain. So your cut line is a 7-point deficit from Bubba Wallace to Ross Chastain. So there you go. All right, let's see what you guys want to talk about. I can pretty much take a wild guess. What's going down? What's up, wise guy? Good to see you on here, my friend. What is up with the 43 says Delmar Kaufman. Yeah, he had a good run going at points in this race. I'm not exactly sure what happened. He must have got caught up in one of those wrecks there at the end. Probably the one that the 42 got caught in as well. That's my only guess. BB, go number 5, says Mike Concho. Yeah, great win for Kyle Larson. A lot of people are not going to be happy with NASCAR's calls at the end. But as a fan of a driver, you can't do anything about NASCAR's calls. 100%. Too many complaining on Jarrett's channel, says John Edward Kruger. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of that today. So there's two probably issues that people are probably going to talk the most about. One is Brad Keselowski running out of gas, and then NASCAR protocol is for Kyle Larson to take that next spot up there. And some are saying that he jumped the restart, but even if they win at the same time, just the way that it all played out or whatever, Kyle Larson was going to have more rolling speed, period. So even if they both started dead even at the same time, Kyle Larson's going to have an advantage because his rolling speed is greater as he's going up there to take that spot. So that's going to be something you argue about. That's a situation that's just bad luck, to be totally honest with you. Blame that necessarily on Brad Keselowski. Nothing NASCAR or Kyle Larson can do about that. Just a bad circumstance for Ryan Blaney fans there. The other one that Ryan Blaney fans are going to be upset about, or Tyler Reddick fans are going to be upset about, is NASCAR could have thrown that last caution because they knew that Ryan Preece wasn't going to get going again. I guess NASCAR's counter argument to that is going to be that Ryan Preece looked like he was going to get going at some point, and they didn't throw it until they absolutely knew that he wasn't going to be able to get going. So you can look at it both ways. NASCAR is consistently inconsistent. But that being said, I think a lot of people are going to be super upset about the fact that they threw that last caution super late after the white flag was taken. And pretty much the sentiment from the people that don't like that, they're going to say that NASCAR handed Hendrick Motorsports or Kyle Larson or, Golden Boy stuff being thrown out there, handed him another win. So that's going to be the counter argument. The end of the race is the result of the end of the other race that all the overtime cautions you people complained about that one. So don't complain about this one, says Mark Johnson. And he brings up a fair point there. If NASCAR had thrown another yellow, it was going to make a lot of guys run out of fuel. You saw Blaney. I think he basically had to switch to his other tank there at the end of this restart. So it was going to shake things up again. It was going to be just like the race that Joey Logano won, the 5 caution race, and a lot of people complained about that one as well, which was a hard one to watch. So NASCAR was between a rock and a hard place here. They made a decision. No matter what decision they made, it was going to be scrutinized quite a bit. So, what do you do in that situation? You throw the caution, people are going to say you're favoring Hendrick. You don't throw the caution, people are going to complain that the right drivers didn't win because it was all everybody that was good had to pit and stuff like that. So it's a lose-lose situation for everybody. And that's why the yellow flag should just end the race. There should be no overtime. I know this is a controversial opinion too, but you know what? It goes the scheduled distance. If you wreck there at the very end, you wreck there at the very end. And if it goes like that, then your winner is Brad Keselowski. So all kinds of different ways you can look at it for sure. Yellow flag wins are not racing. If you pay money, go get a hotel. Then you want to watch a good finish, says Nathan Urich. So there you go. Opposite opinion of the race should finish under yellow. So there you go. Everybody has a different aspect and angle on this one, and nobody's going to agree on it. So it is what it is, and that's a fair point too. Like some people want to see the green white checkers until you get a green finish. So there you go. Let's see. BB, tell Blaney I have a coupon for Pampers if he wants it, says Bruce Garvey. I wish the strategies would have played out, says Chris MV. Yeah, I wish like none of the cautions had happened at the very end, right? And if you really want to, this race really got flipped on its head when Martin Trix Jr. had his second caution. That's when all the strategies just went all over the board. And that's how you got this sort of jumbled up finish as well. What's up, Shaw? Good to have you on here, my friend. NASCAR cheats like crazy, says Holly Golden. Best thing about today's race was Rick Allen's finale, says Shaw. Yeah, he had some, let's just say he had some interesting takes throughout this event. And we'll leave it at that. Nothing against Rick Allen, but some of his stuff was a little, I don't know where he was coming from with some of it. They did everyone else here that Burton and Letard lobbying for Larson during the red flag. Larson clearly jumped the start when Blaney was the control car. Even if he didn't jump the start, he was going to have an advantage because, and I don't know if he jumped the start or not. I haven't sit there and looked at it super close or anything like that. He was still going to have an advantage because as Brad Keselowski was pulling off, he was getting all that rolling speed just to get up there to get to the restart zone. So it is what it is. It was bad luck for Blaney, no matter how you look at it, no matter how it played out. So yeah, it was interesting. One thing I guess you could do in that situation, don't let them repick their positions that they want and stuff like that, but you advance the car and you do another lap under caution so that nobody gets that rolling speed advantage on the inside lane. That's one thing you could do going forward. Maybe, I don't know. It happens. This is going to happen so infrequently. Do we even need to make another rule about it? I don't know. So I was on the DVR 30 minutes behind and didn't get to see the finish due to a channel switch. Was that ever a complaint about Fox? Oh my goodness. So yeah, a lot of people, I hadn't forgotten all about it, but it wasn't high on my list of things to talk about. But yeah, because of, I guess the things going on with the election or whatever, NBC opted to do that coverage instead of showing the end of the race. And so a lot of people are not going to see the end of this race. So crazy. Objectively, Larson jumped a spot, jumped a restart, and then NASCAR decided not to enforce their own rules and hand him the win, says MG Cartopoli. So a lot of people are definitely going to see it that way, the same way that they saw, was it Denny Hamlin with the restart where he laid back or something with Martin Trix Jr.? So yeah, once again, NASCAR inconsistent with restart rules. It's not really Larson's fault, but damn, yeah, it's a crazy situation. So it's yeah, there was just so much going on at the end of this race that's going to take away from this race itself a little bit, unless you're a Larson fan, or maybe unless you're a Hendrick fan or a Chevrolet fan or whatever. So there's going to be a lot of criticism for the people that didn't win, right? So that's just going to be part of it. I rode in car with Larson the last 30 laps, and it was great. Drive by him. He deserved the win. Glad NASCAR ended it. Would probably still be going if they hadn't, says Ron Russell. Yeah, I mean, there's a chance that we have 10 or 12 overtimes just because of how important this race is, not only for points and all that, but it's freaking the Indy Oval. So just a lot of stuff going on at the end of this one. Rules are a rule. We've seen it for years. I had no issue with how it played out, says Chris MV. NASCAR cheats, says Holly Golden. The radio guys were talking about Blaney's language. He needs a swear jar and give it to charity. I'm going to listen to his radio and his freak out, says Robin Marks. Be careful, because I heard he said some heard he said some rough stuff. I'll leave it at that. I don't want to get into that type of nonsense. Hopefully none of that gets scrutinized too closely. Dangerous not to throw the yellow, says Holly Golden. I was unable to type, had to restart the tablet, says Jamie Schweitzer. So there you go. You had a moment where and everybody, by the way, had their TV cut out with like 5 or 6 laps to go. Just a random NBC lost the feed, so let's not forget about that one either. Let's see. Should have thrown the caution. Worst ending ever, says Shaw. And right now, 49% agreeing with you. 41% saying it was fine for NASCAR to end it that way. 8% saying don't spoil it, I haven't seen it yet. And 2% saying, oh, there was a race today. How about that? So there you go. Poll question is up. Get your vote in if you would like to. In my opinion, any race within the last 5 laps that goes yellow should be ended. Then the winner being the last one to lead across the start finish, says Ron Russell. The five jump the restart, says like dislike. I think Larson would have won even with a caution. Fuel was an issue for many, says Delmer Kaufman. I think 1 and 2 probably would have stayed the same. To be totally honest with you, I think Blaney, that bobble when he ran out of fuel, he would have got past either way. I don't know, man. It's so hard to say with Brad Keselowski running out of fuel. Like if Brad Keselowski even gets to the start of the race, that's going to jam up Kyle Larson. Then the win possibly goes to Blaney because he would have time to switch his fuel. I don't know. There's so many ifs, ands, and buts here. But I don't know. In my opinion, any race within the I just read that one. Petty won number 200 under caution, says Dilmer. They cheated 5 overtime to 2, says Holly. What's up, BB? Hey, chat. What a race. On the go with CeeLo. What's up on the go with CeeLo? Doing a great job as always, doing the live stream during the race. Let's see. I'm over NASCAR, says Holly Golden. I think a lot of people are upset with the finish for sure. So 2 week break is probably going to be helpful, or maybe not. Maybe if the story goes on, maybe this isn't a good way to have a 2 week break. I don't know. A football game ends on a knee sometimes, says like dislike. They can't have 5 restarts and everyone running out of gas, says Rich. I mean, all these are fair. Like, all this is fair. It's just one of those things. This is just going to be a race that, unless you're the 5 team or a fan of the 5 team, you're just not going to like the way this ended, no matter what happens. And if it continues to 5 or 6 overtimes, nobody's going to like how that ends up either, other than the person that won the race. They sure did spend the last month tightening up that cutoff line for the playoffs to get everybody excited after the Olympic break. NASCAR mastered that as well. I just wonder what Brad was thinking. Looked like he was trying to fake out Kyle, but that just helped him instead, says SQ. I think the lost issue in the race was passing and almost impossible. Even Bowman said that when they got in dirty air, it was very tough to pass. Some guys did have a harder time passing than others, but I do think that you were able to pass. You saw Kyle Larson was able to pass there at the very end. So I don't know. Just depends on whose car and how it was handling and where your car was good at. Harvick buying Charlotte checkers and wreckers. Joke is surely somewhere to be found, says Jamie Schweitzer. FNBC says like dislike. People can cry, but I'm drinking cold beer. Cheers. You go, Larson, says Aon or A1. I was biting my nails, hoping the 6 wouldn't bottleneck the bottom lane, says Chris MV. Yeah. So to be honest with you, I thought Kyle Larson was in a terrible position because I knew Brad Keselowski was going to run out of gas. So the best thing for the Larson fans that ever could have happened was Brad Keselowski ran out of gas before the race started and he pulled off. So that, because if he had started the race, like I said, that would have bottlenecked the 5 car and everybody on the inside lane. And it could have been total disaster with the accordion effect from there on back. Mike Concho saying A1 cheers. Like saying HMS sucks. Someone is going to say Chase Elliott caused the caution so Kyle could win the race, says Mystical Bandit. Wherever there's a controversial win, there is a conspiracy theory to be had, my friend. No doubt about that. I'm mad that NBC cut the pre-race ceremony for the political stuff, says Cammy. I guess I'm going to go with Cammy there. Yeah, I think a lot of people are going to be upset that they went to politics over racing. And I think Iceberg put it best on Twitter when he said, modern TV is just so far behind. We have 24-hour news channels. We have social media that is even faster than anything you could possibly imagine being on live TV. And the TV model is just so broken. There was really no need to cut to that. Or in the race and then switch it to the other channel and cut to that, because the way things are set up now, it makes so much more sense just to carry out the rest of this race, and you'll get plenty of views for your political stuff as soon as the race goes off. So yeah, I'm with you on that one. It was a bad call to cut the race for that. A1 saying cheers to Mike Concho. Shoot out to all the old ladies sitting at home watching Law and Order, only to have a NASCAR race abruptly come on to to Blaney screaming swear words, says MG. Cartapoli. BB, were you impressed with BJ McLeod's performance, says OJ and Toothpaste? Yeah, I think it's a big purse race. So I don't know how badly his engine was damaged there. I think they just they did a starting park, and that's just Carl Long's. I knew I was going to do it. That's just Carl Long's way of once again giving the old middle finger to NASCAR. Stemming all the way back to his illegal engine back in the day. Baloney Burger Jr., are you married? Wouldn't you like to know, Sweet Pea? Let's see. I'm not married, by the way. Clay Phillips, typical NASCAR finish. LOL. What caused the JJ Joey Rex? Says Jamie Schweitzer. Oh, that's a good question. I don't remember off the top of my head. Carson Hocevar driving like an amateur, says Jamie Schweitzer. That's one way of looking at the Hocevar incident. But if you look at the Hocevar incident from the overtop angle they had, Blaney actually came down. Carson Hocevar didn't have anywhere to go when Blaney came down. He wouldn't have had enough time to check up. So it is what it is. You were either going to be 3 wide there. I don't know exactly what happened. I don't know if Blaney didn't know that Hocevar was there or what, but Blaney did come down on Hocevar. So that actually was what caused the Hocevar incident. Bloneberger Jr., I don't talk about politics, Bloneberger Jr., so nobody's voting for him now because he dropped out, though. So there you go. Hocevar is on a learning curve, says Camaro 50. NASCAR screwed over the 6 and the 9, says Joseph Wooten. Yes, he did well, says Camaro 50. So glad Larson and Reddick had full tanks. It looked like the fuel savers were going to pull a plate race and slow down. Boring, says Bruce Garvey. That's one thing I will say. I'm glad Kyle Larson got up there and pushed the pace so that they couldn't just continue to save fuel and run the race at a slower and slower and slower pace. He got up there and raced them, forced them to actually run some pace, and that is because if not, Brad Keselowski might have done the miracle of miracles and actually finished this race on his regular fuel strategy there. Have you ever received good dome? Says Bloneberger Jr. A gentleman never tells, my friend. I was at a local establishment watching the race. The bar tender was busy when the network switched. Talk about freaking out. Says Delmer Kaufman. Yeah, that's a bad deal for sure. Anybody want another New Hampshire or Nashville? Not me, says Camaro 50. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. Either way this ended, there was going to be complaints. There's no doubt about it. You're either going to complain that there was 5 or 6 green white checkered finishes, or you were going to complain that what happened, that they gave the race to Larson, however you want to look at it, and things like that. So no matter what happened, there was going to be controversy at the end of this one. Sounds like I missed a few things, says Steve Van. Yeah, it was a good race. Good race. A lot of drama for sure. Who will be the I don't know, Bloneberger. There's a million political channels. If you want to check them out, feel free to check them out. I'm sure they're all on top of that. I'm sure that they're all streaming and on top of that right now. The grifters are not going to miss an opportunity to grift off of this particular deal going down. $5 for the 5 win, says Camaro 50. Appreciate you there, Camaro 50. It is always much appreciated. Yeah, and I wasn't going to buy any diecast this year, but I'm going to have to buy that one because the Brickyard, that's a big win. That's a crown jewel. So I'm going to have to add that one. And I'm just going to have to figure out which one of these are going away because one has to get sold and to replace the other one. Are the manufacturer points race stats available yet? Says Jamie Schweitzer. That I usually get that from NASCAR. J-Ski doesn't do that particular one, so I get my post race from J-Ski. So yeah, I don't have the manufacturer deal just yet, just the regular season points. I don't even have the playoff points. I just did that one manually on the fly. Rockingham, but I would imagine Chevrolet got a bump up in points because they won the race. And let's see. Let's see. So not at Toyota's not going to lose too many points because they were second and Ford was third. So it'll pretty much Chevrolet will gain a little bit. Toyota will gain a little bit on Ford, but it'll only be like really 1 point or so of difference. And then however many bonus points you get for actually winning the race or whatever. I need to look at how they're actually structured, but I know it's just I think it's basically just how many points you would get for the 3rd place finish, how many points you would get for a 2nd place finish, and how many points you would get for a 1st place finish. So I think that's how it's going to be. So it's not going to be a huge change in it at all. Let's see. Will Rockingham be back? That's a good question. We're going to find out. They seem to know something we don't know. They seem to have some news that they want to break. So we'll see. They seemed very optimistic in that article that we found. A1 says no politics for sure. I had Larson in fantasy, and I'm still upset, tired of NASCAR's consistency or being consistently inconsistent for sure. Raider 63, I agree. NASCAR is forever going to be inconsistent. I wish they would just be more consistent or hire an outside sanctioning body to do it. What did you think of the Xfinity race? Says OJ and Toothpaste. I thought the Xfinity race was pretty good. I don't think you can get a much better finish than that. The truck race, Ty Majeski win that. That was good too. Baloney Burger Jr. Sounds like you voted for Trump. Like I said, I'm not getting into politics, so you can keep on beating that drum all you want to. I'm just going to ignore them from here on out. Not a fan of Herbst to 2311, says John Edward Kruger. Yeah, we'll have to see if that actually happens or not. He could be in the running for one of those front row seats as well. People are just assuming he's going to 2311 because they already have Monster there. The same way people were assuming that Noah Gregson was going to go to RCR because they have Bass Pro Shops there. How do you become a member? I'm too old to figure it out. There should be a join button. As far as I know, I have a different view than everybody else because it's my channel, but there should be a join button somewhere. And if you click that join button, it gives you the option. People hate stage cautions because, as one driver said, you gain an advantage and their gimmick takes it away. It doesn't double file restarts do the exact same on a smaller scale, says Walter Flair. I mean, there's all kinds of aspects you can look to it. I think we could get rid of stage cautions. I think that would help quite a bit. You can keep the stages in there, just don't have to have cautions for them. So oval or road course, I still prefer the oval, but I do like road courses. I'm not going to throw the road course under the bus. I love John Hunter Nemechek answering for running into the car in front of him. He slowed down. Yes, John Hunter Nemechek, you can't go into turn one full throttle, says Bruce Garvey. Ford may be getting second soon. No NASCAR for 2 weeks, thanks to the Olympics, says like dislike. Yeah, Ford has been on a run there, Jamie Schweitzer. Good point. No NASCAR for 2 weeks, thanks Olympics, says like dislike. Yeah, a lot of people are bummed out about that. I'm going to watch the Olympics and appreciate them for what they're for. The track and field, hopefully the skateboarding is shown as well. I'm glad NASCAR didn't throw the yellow for Priest. They didn't need safety vehicles. What's up, BB? Says in between the lanes. What's up in between the lanes? Good to see you on here, my friend. Hopefully the schedule will be released soon. I think they'll do that in the off season, or in the 2 week break, I should say. So hopefully that'll be something to talk about when that happens. Had Logano and Byron in fantasy. Oh, that's terrible. That's terrible, Lanes. Not a fan of Herbst to 2311, says John Edward Kruger. Hate it for Kyle Busch. And Martin Trix Jr. says in between the lanes. Have you ever done NASCAR fan experience? Says Chris MV. I've done the. I can't say I've necessarily done the NASCAR fan experience. I've done the. I watched it from the infield in Phoenix, and I watched it. I had the ticket to go in between, but I guess that's the closest I've gotten to the full NASCAR fan experience or whatever. Xfinity was too easy, says Duke Chronic. Rockingham for 2025 All Star, says Jamie Schweitzer. They've already got the 2025 All Star to North Wilkesboro. How old were you when you had your first kiss? Says Baloney Burger. No clue. Elementary school, somewhere in there. Is Deegan to Haas official? Says I like dislike. No, it's not. It's just they just said that they have had conversations with her. That's all the article said. Sounds like Larson will do the double again, says Mike Ancho. Yeah, for sure. They basically let that cat out of the bag during the whole 600, 500 weekend. I like Larson's Coca-Cola 600 scheme. It is cool, and it is crazy that he actually won with it. That's pretty neat, too. Baloney Burger Jr., NASCAR only, says Jamie Schweitzer. A lot of drivers are going to need auto owners insurance after today's races in between the lanes. Good fantasy day for me. Gained 100 points on the leader, Spider Racing, says Delmer Kaufman. So good for you, man. Good for you. Hopefully you get your fantasy momentum going and you get to the top of the pylon there. 24 in 24, says in between the lanes. He had a good car today. Unfortunately, got involved in one of those wrecks there. Took a pretty serious lick as well. Hopefully he's okay. Do you think they go to Mexico and Canada next year? I think they'll go to one of them. I don't know which one, but I do think one of them will be on the schedule for sure. Ryan Blaney was on fire on the radio, says in between the lanes. Yeah, he was pretty fired up. There's no doubt about that. Stages, playoffs, championship need to go. Points. Watch IndyCar and NHRA, the finals. Was great, especially for NHRA. BB, you a skater? I would love to see you bust some moves. That would be internet gold, says Shaw. I can push and kick, and I can cruise on one, but I was never particularly good at skateboarding. I couldn't do any tricks, to be totally honest. Any tricks of note. Could The Rock host the Bush Clash, says Jamie Schweitzer. Maybe, but that's being rumored to be the Madhouse, so I don't know. We'll have to see what happens when they release the schedule. Go see Martin Trix Jr. for auto owners insurance deals, says in between the lanes. What I've seen Larson do the last run, from like 13th was amazing. Shows he is the best we got, says Duke Chronic. Freedom of speech. I can ask any questions and get some answers, says Baloney Burger Jr. You can ask any questions you want to. That is a fact, but I'm not going to answer all of them. Just just to keep it 100 with you. And I know you're having a good time and trolling, so we're not taking it seriously. We got you, brother. It's all good. Escobar saying Larson, Bush Clash at Rockingham would be good. Froze my tail off at Rockingham in February, says Delmer Kaufman. Yeah, Rockingham does get pretty close, pretty cold. That's for sure. Crying Blaney should be mad at Crying Blame Me should be mad at BK. Larson wins anyway. He drove away on both restarts, says X Dude. Hamlin is going to have to wait for another chance to win the Brickyard. Yeah, Hamlin got caught up in one there at the end. One of the last ones. Yeah, he had a good run going, but got caught up at the end. Right now, 47% saying yes in the poll. 42% saying NASCAR's ending was fine. And 8% saying don't spoil it. I haven't seen it yet. 3% saying there was a race today. 46 down to 46%, oscillating between 46 and 47 here on the yes. I'm not a troll. I didn't say you were a troll. I said you're having a good time, my brother. You're having a good time. Young Baloney, you're having a good time. Cheddar's patriotic looked good, says in between the lanes. Yeah, I did like the patriotic scheme. It looked really good up until the point that he once again had bad luck and put it into the wall. Another bummer for the 8-team RCR and Kyle Busch. Just a cursed season, unfortunately. He's cursed this year, and it's unfortunate. Will Eric Jones win at Darlington, says Delmer? I don't know. The way they've had there, that's another team that's had a cursed season under the radar, to be honest. Roger Penske and Rick Hendrick is the big dog at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and Rick called RP the man. So there you go. Rick called Roger Penske the man. Pretty cool. Did you watch the Kyle Busch, Pat McAfee episodes as OJ and Toothpaste? Just the highlight, just that highlight that I had in my clip or whatever on the video I made. I haven't watched the whole show yet. KFB once again shoots himself in the foot within sight of the leaders, says X Dude. Yeah, and like I said, I haven't seen a full replay of that. I don't know if Hamlin came down. Like, he came up off the line a little bit, but I don't know if Hamlin had a crazy arc to the angle. I need to see a different angle of it than the in-car or whatever, whoever was behind, I guess, Kyle Larson when it happened. I need to see the over-top angle before I'm like, it might just be one of those racing deals where one came up and one came down. That's kind of what I'm leaning toward. It's just, like I said, just another bad luck deal for Kyle Busch, and that's the way I saw it. But I need to get a conclusive look from over top before I say that 100% definitively. Either way, more bad luck for Kyle Busch, unfortunately. I don't like Hamlin, but it was Bush's fault, says X Dude. So you've probably had a better look at it than me since then. But yeah, I think everybody has enjoyed it, especially. I think KFB best years are behind him. I didn't end good at Gibbs, not going good with RCR, and not going good this season with RCR. I feel like last season was pretty solid, regardless of what people say about last season. Whenever you get 3 wins in a season, I feel like that's a pretty solid season. But this year, definitely not going good at all. Your thoughts, BB, on Larson moving up after Keselowski followed the pace car down pit road? Says in between the lanes. I mean, he was following protocol there. I put that whole situation there is on Keselowski. Like, you got to know you're running out of fuel, man. Like, I know you don't want to give up that track position. I know you're gambling, but come on. You know there was no chance you were going to make 2 laps, much less one more. I don't know. Will Kyle Busch still be in Cup in the next decade, says Jamie Schweitzer? He'll probably hang out there till his son gets up there. That seems to be sort of his goal. Now, whether he's there full-time or if he does something like what Martin Truex is doing, where he's going to drive part-time, Martin Truex Jr. does, where he's going to drive part-time. Kyle Larson doing the double next year, it sounds like. Yeah, for sure. They leaked that during the double weekend. Nemechek almost made it through the whole race without bringing out yellow. Overtime got him, says Bo Darville. Yep, it sure did. Byron called Briscoe a squirrel. Yep. That's a fact. That's a fact. Briscoe did push up and cause some of that. And the other part of that, the 41 tried to fill a hole that was going to be impossible to fill. So little bit from both of the SHR drivers there. Kyle Busch quest for 200 not going well, says Delmer Kaufman. Race seems rigged, says Baloney Burger Jr. I think a lot of people feel that way. And if it ended the other way, whether you have 5 or 6 green, white, checkered, people are still going to say the same thing. I was starting to think that BK had Logano's fuel tank there for a minute, says X Dude. Yeah, or a Smoky Unic fuel tank. Nemechek led some laps, says in between the lanes. Yeah, so he was out there leading some laps. So that was some positive momentum for Legacy this season. Unfortunately, didn't end for either of the three the way they wanted it to end. They need to call off the restart if the leader pulls off coming to green, says Bo Darvel. I agree. That's what I said. So you should have just ran one more lap under caution and then restarted it from there. Because no matter what happened, Kyle Larson was still going to have more momentum catching up to Blaney's car. So even if they win at the same time, I know most people think he jumped, but let's say that they do go at the same time, or Blaney goes first and Kyle Larson goes. You still got more momentum because you're moving up faster to catch Blaney. So either way, Blaney was at a disadvantage there, and that's what I'm saying. It's just no matter what happened, that was a bad luck deal. So if you just do another lap under caution, then you get rid of that advantage, and you've got to have them stacked up pretty close. Do we need a rule for that going forward? Probably not, because it's such a rare situation where the leader is going to pull off right before the restart. So, like I said, just a fluke freak thing, and it didn't benefit Ryan Blaney at all. BB, will Chastain make the playoffs? Says AJ and Toothpaste. I think he'll make the playoffs for sure. Will we see another first-time winner before the playoffs? BB, says Jamie Schweitzer. I think we will see at least one more first-time winner before the playoffs start. Jimmy Johnson involved in the wreck with Logano, says in between the lanes. Some hard licks today. This track in Pocono seems to have some bell ringers, says X Dude. Seems like whoever was in the lead pretty much held it until the pit stops or caution, says Domer. How many kids do you have? None that I know of, Baloney Burger Jr. Smokey and the old basketball trick and didn't make it a super long fuel line, too, says Robin Marks. Too many passes for the lead, says Delmer Kaufman. Bubba is looking better for the playoffs, says Martin. Mark Martin fan for life. Yeah, he's had a pretty good run here recently. He's made up quite a few points since he dropped below the cut line. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to go down to the wire. But I'll tell you what's going to throw that into total disarray is if somebody below them is the first-time winner. Now, somebody above them is the first-time winner. That's not going to be a big deal. Like if Martin Truex Jr. wins it, or Ty Gibbs, that's not going to be a big deal. But if somebody below those guys wins it, that's going to be a huge deal for sure. Best Damn Garage, Smokey Unix, says Delmer Kaufman, for sure. I like the Gregson Bass Pro Shop scheme. Yeah, Winchester always does a pretty good job there when they got it. The sponsorship deal. All right. It looks like we've reached the end of the chat here. Harrison Burton will win Daytona, says OJ and Toothpaste. Did Larson go at the end of the restart box? Is that why they didn't call it? I don't know. I will have to go look at it again. I don't know exactly when he went. Like, it just happened so fast because it's like, oh my God, Brad Keselowski's pulling off. I was like, now we got to restart. I was like, oh my God, now Kyle Larson's in the lead. And I just knew it. And then we had a wreck behind it after that. There was a lot of bang things that happened. So I need to go back and look at the replay to see if he jumped or if he went at the end of the restart box. There was a lot of stuff going on there. So like I said, I don't think even Ryan Blaney necessarily knew what was going on there. It just, everything happened. It was so disruptive the way it happened. That's what I'm saying. Another lap under caution probably would have helped that. But all right, we've reached the end of the chat here, so I'll check you guys later. Thanks for your time. Yes, wins at 46%, 43%. NASCAR ending was fine, and we'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.